Coal sludge spill kills 125 people in Buffalo Creek, West Virginia. A huge solar flare, still one of the largest recorded, knocks out cable lines in the USA. And the US and Soviet Union, along with 70 other nations, signed the Biological Weapons Convention and agreed to ban biological warfare. The year is 1972, and this was the last year for the very first generation of the Chevy Monte Carlo. But before getting into all of it, I'm your host, Jay, who is a boomer trapped inside a millennial's body. Anyway, welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that shows you cars from the past like you've never seen them before. History, specs, design. We post between 4 and 5 episodes a week, give or take, with engine episodes generally on Wednesdays. If you dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. A couple of announcements real quick before getting into the meat and potatoes. Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg is having a shindig in Auburn, Indiana, August 29th through the 31st. I will be there Saturday the 31st, and also coming up really fast is the Old Car Festival in Dearborn, Michigan. It's right next to the Henry Ford. If you've never been, I would encourage you to go. It's an experience definitely worth having. That is September 7th and 8th. If you can go the 7th, that is definitely the day to go because they let people stay after hours and they drive the stuff around on the streets at night and you get to see all of the lights in a period correct town with a lot of people dressed period correct. It's an epic experience, and I will be there Saturday, September 7th. If you see me at any one of those events, please come up and say hi. 1972 Chevy model lineup. These aren't in any particular order. Vega, Nova, Chevelle, Biscayne, which was the final year for the Biscayne, Bel Air, Impala, Caprice, Camaro, Corvette, and the Monte Carlo. Chevy also had a truck line going from the half-ton all the way up to the big commercial, the El Camino, which bridged the gap between car and truck, Suburban, as well as vans and wagons. Chevy had a lot of stuff by 1972 on offer. Chevy would offer the Monte Carlo from 1970 through 1988, took a bit of a break, and then they would come back in 1995 through 2007 in 6 generations. 1972 falls in the first generation, which was produced from 1970, 71, and 72. Designed by Terry Henline under Dave Halls. The Chevy Monte Carlo was Chevy's personal luxury car offering and competed directly with the Ford Thunderbird. Let's talk specs. 206.5 inches long, 75.6 inches wide, 52.9 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 116 inches. It weighs 3,604 pounds. Price, $3,360, which would be equivalent to you spending $25,283.60 in the year 2024. Total 1972 Chevy production was 2,420,564 units. Total Monte Carlo was 180,819 units. Moving on to engines, which there were 2 engines, couple different flavors. Starting out in the proverbial basement was the 350 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.7 liters. It was good for 165 horsepower with a 2-barrel carburetor, 175 horsepower with a 4-barrel carburetor at 4,000 RPM, 280 pound-feet, or 380 newton meters at 2,400 RPM with a bore of 4 inches and a stroke of 3.5 inches, 5 main bearings. And it's important to note that these bore and stroke sizes, they might be rounded. 3-speed, when backed with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 9.6 seconds with a theoretical top speed of 120 miles per hour while achieving an average of 13.5 to 15 miles to the gallon. It's also important to note that mileage may very well vary because it could vary from different rear end ratios and tires. They will affect all of these figures. Also weather, elevation, are other things to consider. Moving on to the middle option, 402 cubic inch displacement, oftentimes just referred to as the 400 overhead valve V8 6.6 liters. It's good for anywhere between 210 to 240 horsepower at 4,400 RPM up to 345 pound-feet or 468 newton meters at 3,200 RPM with a bore of 4.1 inches and a stroke of 3.8 inches, 5 main bearings when backed with a 3-speed manual transmission. 0 to 60 could be had in 8.1 seconds with a theoretical top speed of 135 miles per hour while achieving an average of 10.8 to maybe 12 miles to the gallon estimate. Moving on to the biggest and baddest engine on offer, which was the 454 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 7.4 liters. It's good for 270 horsepower at 4,000 RPM, 390 pound-feet or 529 newton meters at 3,200 RPM with a bore of 4.3 inches and a stroke of 4 inches with 5 main bearings when backed with a 3-speed manual transmission. 0 to 60 could be had in a very healthy 6.8 seconds with a theoretical top speed of 140 miles per hour while achieving an average single digits, sometimes 8.9 to maybe you might be able to get 10 out of it. Transmissions. 2-speed power glide could be had on the 350 V8 with the 2-barrel carburetor, or 3-speed automatic, 3-speed manual. The 4-speed manual was dropped for 1972. I found this 1972 Chevy Monte Carlo at Classic Auto Mall, but has recently been sold. With that said, they still have over 850 cars in their inventory currently for sale. It is the largest car consignment dealership, I would venture to say, this side of the Mississippi, with 8 acres under roof. Get this, anybody can go there and peruse their inventory in person. Also, they have quite the selection of cars, going from horseless carriage cars all the way up to modern cars. For hours of operation, directions to Classic Auto Mall, be sure to click the link below after the show. Let's talk styling. Look at these headlights. Look at the bezel around the headlight. Notice it's square, circle in a square. It's kind of Frenched. I don't know if you'd call that Frenched from being recessed. The bumpers. This car does not have any bumper riders and or overettes, but it does come to a point there in the center. And then egg crate grill, which also comes to a point here in the center. Running lights and or turn signal indicators. The side markers. It does have a hood ornament here. The wheel wells are capped off with that stainless piece. This car does have rocker molding. Notice the cowl is in the hood itself. This car does have drip rails, which start right here, and they run the cabin of the car. Check out this roof profile. Also, look how these brake lights are recessed. The
Brake lights look kind of Lincoln-esque. Instead of being horizontal, they're vertical. Backup lights. This door has a lot of heft to it. We got texturized vinyl. It has carpet down below. Bright work separating the different materials. Armrest as well as door handle to pull the door shut, but you're supposed to use this gigantic door handle, but you could use either or. Door handle to get out. Window switches for the electric windows. Coming down inside, the pedal box down here. High beam switch, emergency brake release, power brakes, brake pedal there, and the gas pedal. Just take a look at this interior. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here is what first person over the hood would look like.
On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. Generator light, headlights, gasoline gauge, which is a huge gauge in this gauge cluster. Windshield wipers and wash feature, 120 mile per hour speedometer with odometer just below it. This speedometer is flanked at the top by turn signal indicators. There are also two other lights at the bottom. I'm going to assume that one of them, the one on the right hand side, is for the high beam indicator. The other one, I'm not 100% sure. If you know, in the comment section below. Key for the ignition is just out of focus on the steering wheel column itself. Defog, high and low clock, more idiot lights for coolant temperature and oil pressure. This one has radio delete, climate controls, fan blower speed off to the left, two sliders. The top slider controls location and function. The bottom slider is for temperature, cold to the left, warm to the right. Drive modes read, park, reverse, neutral, third, second, first, seat belts. DJI Pocket 3, which is what these episodes are shot with, aside from the button switches and knobs, which is shot with a Canon R6.
Above, this one doesn't appear to have sun visors. Rear view mirror and center. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is the glove box in question. Yeah, that's a tiny glove box. It fits in the hole, but it's not going to shut. Does not fit. This one does have a center console. Right here. With tons of space to put various things. Getting it in the rear. Appears to be a seat back lock. And that is the lock, the seat back lock. You just push that. That is how much room you have to get back there. So this is what the front looks like from the back. Let's take a quick gander at the greenhouse or the pillar to glass ratio. It's not bad in this car. It's just dark in here because it's black. This is what visibility looks like out the back from the back seat. There's quite a bit of a parcel shelf as well. Let's talk creature comforts. There is a dome light in center. The seat back profile is rather upright, and it does dip down back here, but we will get to that here in a second. Let's talk about the creature comforts. You have an armrest, which is nice and padded. Ashtray. The windows do go down back here. There is a coat hook. Everything found on the driver's side is also found on the passenger side. All right, now let's talk about seat back profile. Seat back profile, it is rather upright. It does dip down drastically in the back. So consequently, this is what my knee situation looks like. I got negative knee space. This is what I look like sitting at the back of the 72 Monte Carlo. My head is pretty much in the headliner. It is not comfortable if you're 6'2". If you have small kids, this car would work. But if you're thinking about hauling your older kids around, you might want to look for something a little bit bigger. Coming to the under the hood section, hood release is right here. And it's all one motion. You have, this one seems to have air conditioning. Massive power steering booster with dual master cylinder attached to it. Alternator. This one has power steering. As well as you can see all the power steering hoses going into the rack down there.
On the positive side, in my opinion, the first generation Monte Carlo is the best of the Monte Carlos, with the 85 Monte Carlo coming in at a very, very close second. Looks great, aged well, said to be a great car on the highway, great engine choices. Against it, with the bigger engines, they are thirsty. 4-speed manual for 72 is gone. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. Personal Luxury Car Edition. Which one would you rather have? 1972 Ford Thunderbird, or 1972 Chevy Monte Carlo, or 1971 AMC Ambassador? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. The second scenario is personal luxury cars from General Motors, 1972 Buick Riviera, or 1972 Chevy Monte Carlo, or 1972 Oldsmobile Toronado. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to Name That Tune. First person to give both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. You can see the morning, but I can see the light. Yes, that was me, Jay, from What It's Like, singing that song. But what is the original band and song title in the comment section below? Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that for self-worth. I just say that if you post a comment on here, I will definitely read it. We have a Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. I will try to link it in the description below. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, send me an email at what_it's_like@yahoo.com. Thanks again for everything that you guys bring in the comment section. Until next time, toodaloo!